The rain fell gently on the glass roof of the galactic court hall, where people from many worlds had gathered. The hall stood in the middle of Nova Prime, a grand city filled with tall, shining towers and silver bridges. Ships moved in the sky, leaving trails of blue light. It was a place where humans and aliens met as equals, though not everyone believed in that equality. Inside the court hall, rows of seats were filled with scholars, scientists, and officials from different species. The air smelled of polished metal and fresh rain. At the front of the hall stood a long table where the lawyer's console glowed with soft light. Mira sat near the back of the room. She was small compared to the tall alien figures around her. Her dark hair was tied back neatly and her hands rested in her lap. She wore a simple gray coat, nothing fancy. Her eyes were calm but tired. She had not slept much since hearing that Professor Dalen had passed away. Professor Dalen had been more than a teacher. To Mira, he was a mentor and a friend. He had taught her about alien life forms, about the shared structure of all living things, and about the idea that life could be one family even when it came from different stars. But now he was gone, and his will was to be read today. Near the front sat a group of alien scientists from Dalen's research circle. They were tall and elegant, their skin glowing faintly under the lights. One of them, a thin figure with silver eyes named Dr. Krith, leaned toward another and whispered something. The two shared a laugh. Mira knew it was about her. Humans had joined the Galactic Alliance only 20 years ago. Many alien species still saw them as newcomers, emotional, clumsy, and too unpredictable. To them, Mira was just a lucky assistant, not a real scientist. The lawyer arrived. He was an old man with steady hands and gray hair. His name was Arun. He wore a black coat and carried a small silver briefcase. He walked slowly to the front, bowed politely, and placed the case on the table. Everyone turned quiet. Arun opened the case and took out a small crystal device. He placed it on the console, and a glowing image appeared above it, the official seal of the Galactic Court. Aaron cleared his throat and spoke in a calm voice. "We are gathered here for the reading of Professor Dalen's last will and testament. The professor left specific instructions that all his close associates, students, and colleagues attend. The will is recorded in both human and standard galactic code." The image shifted. Professor Dalen appeared in the air as a shimmering hologram. His face was kind and gentle, just as Mira remembered. His voice was steady, though faint with age. "My friends," said the hologram, "if you are seeing this, then my time among the living has ended. I thank each of you for sharing this journey of discovery with me." Some of the aliens bowed their heads. Others stared without emotion. Dalen continued, "I have made arrangements for my possessions and unfinished work. My estate includes the research laboratory on the Andros Belt, my scientific archives, and the coordinates to Project Unity. I have chosen my successor with great care." At those words, several of the aliens straightened in their seats. They looked eager, expecting to hear one of their names. But Dalen paused. The image flickered for a moment. Strange symbols flashed across the hologram like pieces of code. Mira frowned. She noticed that the symbols were not random. They looked like fragments of an old human script, mixed with mathematical patterns. Before she could study them further, the hologram returned to normal. Dalen's voice grew softer. "My successor will not be chosen by title or status, but by understanding. The truth of my work lies not in what is written, but in what is seen. To the one who sees, I leave all that I have built." The hologram ended. A low murmur spread through the hall. The aliens turned to each other, confused and annoyed. "What kind of will is this?" said Dr. Krith, rising from his seat. "This is nonsense." "Where is the name? Where are the details?" Another alien scoffed. "Humans and their riddles." He was too sentimental. They began to laugh, some softly, some openly. The sound echoed across the hall. Mira stayed still. Her face showed no anger, but her hands gripped the edge of her seat. Aaron did not join in. He looked at the hologram again, then at Mira. His eyes met hers for a brief moment, and in that silence she felt that he knew something. He spoke calmly. "Professor Dalen left behind encrypted instructions. His words may not be random. If anyone wishes to contest the will, they may file a claim within 30 cycles. The aliens muttered among themselves. One of them said, "Why would Dalen trust a human? She was just his assistant. She barely understands the surface of his research." Mira looked down. She wanted to leave, but her heart told her to stay. Something in the professor's message felt directed at her. Aaron continued. For those mentioned in the will, a copy of the hologram and associated data will be sent to your personal archives. The court thanks you for your attendance. The meeting ended. People began to leave, still whispering and laughing. Mira remained seated until the room was almost empty. When she finally stood up, she felt a presence beside her. Arun had walked over quietly. You noticed it, didn't you? He said in a low voice. Mira looked up, surprised. The symbols? He nodded. Yes, they appeared for less than 3 seconds, but they were intentional. The professor knew exactly what he was doing. Mira frowned. It looked like a mix of human and galactic code. Aaron gave a small smile. You were his best student. I believe he left a message only you could read. She hesitated. Why would he do that? Because he trusted you, Aaron said simply. And because he knew others would not. Mira felt a strange mix of sadness and determination. Then I will find out what it means. Aaron placed a small data chip in her hand. This is a private copy of the recording. Use it wisely. The court does not know I made it. She looked at him with surprise. Why help me? He gave a quiet sigh. Because Dalen once helped me too. Some debts must be repaid. Before she could thank him, he walked away. Mira left the hall and stepped into the cool evening air. The rain had stopped and the city lights reflected on the wet streets. Flying cars passed overhead, their lights glowing like stars. She held the data chip tightly in her hand as she walked toward the small transport station. Back in her apartment, she placed the chip into her console. The hologram of Dalen appeared again, but now she paused it and looked closely at the flashing symbols. Her console translated part of it, but some words remained locked behind an old encryption pattern. Hours passed as she worked, decoding piece by piece. The message began to form. It was not about inheritance or money. It was about something hidden, something the professor had discovered but kept secret. The translation finally revealed a short phrase. Look to the edge where light meets shadow. There you will find the truth. Mira leaned back, whispering the words. The edge where light meets shadow. She thought of the Andros Belt, the asteroid field at the edge of the solar system where Dylan's old lab was located. It was a place between the light of the sun and the darkness of deep space. Her heart began to race. The professor had hidden something there. The laughter from the hall echoed in her mind, but now it no longer mattered. She would find out what Dalen meant, no matter what others thought. Outside her window, the first rays of morning light spread across the horizon. Mira packed a small bag and prepared for a journey she knew would change everything. In the stillness of the dawn, she whispered to herself, They laughed today, but soon they will see why he chose me. The morning sun rose over Nova Prime, turning the silver towers golden. Mira stood by her window, watching ships glide through the bright sky. The city looked peaceful, but inside her heart there was a storm of questions. The words of Professor Dalen's message echoed again and again. Look to the edge where light meets shadow. She knew what it meant. The Andros Belt, a place where the sun's light faded and deep space began. Dalen's old lab was there, hidden among hundreds of silent asteroids. It had been closed for years, but Mira remembered visiting it once during her training. It was quiet, almost forgotten, but Dalen had loved it. She placed the small data chip Aaron had given her into a secure pocket and opened her travel console. Her funds were low, but she had enough to rent a small ship. She checked her credentials again. As Dalen's former assistant, she could request limited access to his properties. That might be enough to reach the lab. Her console beeped. A message appeared. It was from Aaron. Meet me at Dock 47 at midday. Come alone, she frowned. Why would the lawyer want to meet her again so soon? But she trusted her instinct. Aaron had been kind and careful. If he wanted to see her, it had to be important. Mira packed her things and left her apartment. The city's streets were busy, filled with merchants, travelers, and robots carrying goods. Hover cars floated past as she walked toward the docking bay. Dock 47 was quiet. Only a few ships were parked there. Aaron was already waiting beside a small transport craft. He smiled when he saw her. You came, he said. I thought you might explain why, she replied. He nodded. I have something to show you. He pressed a button on his wrist console. The ramp of the ship lowered with a hiss and they stepped inside. The air smelled of metal and old circuits. Arun closed the hatch and guided her to a small table. On it lay a black case almost identical to the one he used during the will reading. He opened it and took out a crystal tablet. "This," he said, "is a backup of Dalen's research index. The court archives only received a partial copy, but this one has entries that were hidden from the public." Mira leaned closer. "You took it?" He shook his head. "No, Dalen gave it to me before he died. He said there would come a time when someone worthy must find what he left behind. I believe that person is you." Mira touched the glowing surface of the tablet. A list of encrypted files appeared, each labeled with strange coordinates and numbers. One of them caught her attention. It was named Unity Fragment 1. She tapped it. The tablet projected a faint image, a sphere of light spinning slowly, surrounded by shapes that looked like strands of DNA but glowing with shifting colors. Aaron spoke quietly. Dalen believed that all intelligent life shared a hidden connection, a single thread woven through every species. He called it the Unity gene. Mira felt a shiver run through her. A gene that connects all life? Is that possible? He thought it was, Aaron replied. And he said the key to completing it lies at his lab in the Andros Belt. He was close to proving it before his death. She looked at him sharply. "Do you think someone killed him?" Aaron paused. "The official report says heart failure. But Dalen was healthy. The same week he died, several of his alien colleagues withdrew their support for his project. And one of them, Dr. Krith, filed a claim to seize his research." Mira clenched her fists. "The same one who laughed at me during the will reading." "Yes," Aaron said. "I believe they feared what he discovered. If Dalen's theory is true, it would mean that humans with our emotional depth might be the missing piece of that genetic link." The idea terrified them. Mira took a deep breath. "Then I must go to the lab and find the truth." Arun handed her a small silver disc. "This will open the lab's main door. It's encoded to Dalen's personal signal. Use it when you reach the Andros Belt. I cannot come with you, but I will help you from here." She nodded. "Thank you, Arun. I won't waste his trust." He smiled faintly. "I know you won't." Mira left the ship and booked her passage on a small cargo vessel bound for the outer colonies. It would stop near the Andros Belt, and from there she could take a shuttle to the coordinates of the lab. The journey began at sunset. As the ship lifted off, Mira looked through the window. The city lights faded behind her, replaced by the endless dark of space. Stars spread before her like diamonds. She had dreamed of exploring the stars since she was a child, but now it felt different. This time she was not chasing dreams. She was chasing truth. Days passed in quiet travel. The hum of the ship's engines filled the corridors. Mira spent her time studying the encrypted data Aaron had given her. She tried to decode more of the Unity project files, but they were locked behind layers of security. One file, however, opened slightly. It showed an unfinished equation, one that described energy patterns between different DNA types. It seemed to show that all species shared a hidden resonance frequency, a kind of biological harmony. Mira stared at it for hours. Dalen had been right. He had found something extraordinary. One night as she worked, the ship's communication system beeped. A message flashed on the screen. It was marked private. Mira opened it carefully. A distorted voice spoke. "Human researcher Mira, you hold property that does not belong to you. Return the data to the Galactic Science Board or face consequences." Mira froze. "Who is this?" No answer came. The message ended. Her pulse quickened. Someone knew she had the files. Maybe one of the alien scientists had traced her. She quickly encrypted her console and disconnected it from the main system. She could not trust anyone on the ship. When the vessel finally reached the Andros Belt, she left quietly, taking only her bag and the data chip. The shuttle she rented was small but strong enough to move between the massive asteroids. The belt was beautiful in a haunting way. Giant rocks floated in slow motion, their surfaces glowing faintly in the reflected sunlight. Between them stretched long shadows, deep and silent, the edge where light meets shadow. She flew deeper into the belt, following the coordinates from the professor's files. After several hours, she saw it, a dark structure built into the side of a large asteroid. It looked half buried, half hidden. The surface shimmered with thin layers of ice. Mira landed the shuttle near the entrance and stepped out carefully. Her boots sank slightly into the dust. The silence was heavy. She felt small under the vastness of space. She walked to the door of the lab. It was made of thick metal with old markings. The control panel beside it was dead. She took out the silver disc Arun had given her and placed it into the slot. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a soft light spread across the door and it slid open with a low hum. Inside, the air was thin but still breathable. The lights flickered weakly as the old systems came to life. Mira stepped through the narrow corridor. Dust floated in the air like tiny stars. The main lab was circular with large glass tanks and broken screens. At the center stood a sealed chamber marked Unity Core. She touched the glass gently. It felt cold. She connected her console to the lab's terminal and began downloading the data. The system recognized her access code and unlocked several files. One of them contained a voice recording. The name on the file was Message for Mira. Her heart skipped. She pressed play. The voice of Professor Dalen filled the room, warm and steady. Mira, if you are hearing this, it means I am gone. Do not grieve. My work must continue. You once told me that every species deserves to understand one another. You were right. I have discovered proof that all life, no matter its form, shares a single origin. The Unity gene is real and it is the key to peace across the stars. The voice paused. Then Dalen continued. But there are those who fear this truth. They believe difference gives them power. They will try to stop you. Trust only those who earn it. My old friend Aaron knows what must be done. Protect the data and find the remaining fragments. When all are joined, the Unity Core will reveal its full design. The recording ended. Mira stood still, her eyes wide with determination. Dalen had planned everything. He had trusted her completely. The others had mocked her, but she now held the secret they feared most. She saved the files to her console and turned to leave, but a sudden sound made her freeze. A red light blinked on the wall. The motion sensors had detected movement. Someone else was in the lab. Mira's pulse quickened. She turned off the lights and hid behind a console. Through the glass of the chamber, she saw a shadow moving near the entrance. A tall figure stepped inside. Its skin glowed faintly silver. Dr. Krith. He looked around, his voice cold. I knew you would come, little human. Dalen always had too much faith in your kind. Mira stayed silent, her hand gripping the console. She needed to think fast. Krith moved closer to the chamber. The Unity gene will remain a myth. I cannot let you expose it. It would destroy the order of the galaxy. Mira's eyes narrowed. You mean it would destroy your control? He spun toward her, surprised by her voice. She pressed a key on her console. The lab's defense barrier flashed, separating them with a wall of light. You cannot stop the truth, she said firmly. Dalen's work will live on. Krith slammed his hand against the barrier. You are just a human. You have no power. Mira met his gaze without fear. That is what you said at the will reading. You were wrong then, and you are wrong now. She pressed another command. The data files uploaded to her secure cloud. The screen flashed transfer complete. The blackness of space stretched endlessly around Mira's shuttle as it moved away from the Andros belt. The stars shimmered like silent witnesses to her escape. She sat in the pilot's seat, breathing fast but steady. Her hand still shook slightly from what had just happened. The words of Dr. Krith echoed in her mind, filled with pride and fear. He had tried to stop her, just as Dalen had warned. But Mira had the data now. She looked at the screen beside her. The files from the Unity Core were safely stored in her encrypted cloud. It was only the beginning, though. The professor's message said there were more fragments to find, hidden across the stars. Her console beeped. A message appeared from Arun. I received the data transfer. Are you safe? She typed quickly. Yes, but Krith found me at the lab. He knows I have the files. The reply came at once. Then you must not return to Nova Prime. It is not safe there. Meet me at the Haven outpost near the moon of Kalda. We will plan our next move. Mira nodded and adjusted the shuttle's course. The journey to Kalda would take 2 days. She checked her supplies. Enough food and oxygen for a week. The ship's engines were steady, though the navigation system flickered now and then. As the ship moved through the silent void, Mira had time to think. She remembered her days under Professor Dalen's guidance. His voice had always been calm, full of patience. He used to say that the universe spoke in patterns, and that those who listened carefully could understand its secrets. Now, she felt those words taking new meaning. The Unity gene was not just a scientific idea. It was something deeper, a symbol of connection, of peace among all intelligent life. But there was danger too. Krith and his allies wanted to bury that truth. They feared what it would mean if everyone learned they were part of the same design. The shuttle entered a region filled with floating debris and small asteroids. Mira turned off the main lights to stay hidden. She activated the shield field and set the ship on auto-navigation. She pulled out the small tablet Arun had given her and studied the remaining locked files. One of them showed a partial map, marked with coordinates across different sectors. The next fragment of the Unity gene seemed to be located on a distant planet called Thalen. She opened the data logs connected to that planet. The entries described it as an abandoned mining world, long forgotten after its resources ran dry. The surface was covered in sand and broken machinery, but beneath the planet's crust, there were old tunnels where Dalen might have hidden something. Mira's heart filled with resolve. After meeting Aaron, she would go there. Hours passed in silence. Mira sat by the window watching the endless stars. Sometimes she wondered if Dalen had ever felt lonely out here. He had traveled across the galaxy, teaching, discovering, helping others understand life itself. Yet in the end, he had trusted only one person, her. That thought gave her strength. When the shuttle finally reached the orbit of Calda, the moon shone faintly blue. The Haven outpost floated nearby, a small station built from old metal parts. It was used mostly by traders and independent researchers. Mira sent a signal. "This is Mira requesting permission to dock." A calm voice replied, "Permission granted. Dock at Bay 3. The shuttle connected to the outpost with a soft clang. Mira stepped out, carrying her bag and the tablet. The corridor smelled of oil and recycled air. Lights flickered above as she walked toward the main lounge. Aaron was there, waiting near a round table. His coat looked the same, though his face seemed more tired. He smiled when he saw her. "I'm glad you made it," he said. Mira sat across from him. "Krith followed me to the lab. He tried to stop me." Aaron nodded slowly. "I feared that. The Galactic Science Board has already received his complaint. He claims you stole restricted data." Her eyes widened. "So now I am a criminal?" He sighed. "For now, yes. But we will clear your name once the truth is revealed." Mira leaned forward. "Professor Dalen left more fragments. The next one is on Thalen V. I saw it in his files." Aaron looked thoughtful. "That world is outside the Central Territories. It will not be easy to reach. The board's patrol ships monitor that region." "I will go anyway," she said firmly. "The professor trusted me. I cannot stop now." Aaron studied her face for a moment, then nodded. "Then we must plan carefully. I will contact someone who can help you travel without being noticed." He tapped his wrist console, sending a message. A few minutes later, a tall woman entered the lounge. Her skin had a faint copper tone and her eyes were sharp but kind. "This is Lyra," Aaron said. "She is a pilot and a friend. She owes Dalen a favor." Lyra smiled. "So you are the human he always spoke about. I heard you once solved a genetic puzzle in half the time it took his whole team." Mira felt shy. "He helped me more than I helped him." Lyra nodded. "He always had faith in people." "I see why." Aaron handed Lyra a small data chip. "She needs to reach Thalen 5 quietly. Can you arrange that?" Lyra inserted the chip into her wrist device. "I can. There is an old cargo route passing near that system. No patrols there. We can use it." Aaron turned back to Mira. "Go with her. Find the fragment. I will handle things here and delay any investigation as long as I can." Mira smiled softly. "Thank you, Aaron. I will not let you down." Aaron gave a small nod. "Just stay safe. The galaxy is large, but lies travel faster than truth." Mira and Lyra boarded the pilot's ship, a sleek craft built for speed and stealth. The engines hummed quietly as they left the outpost. Lyra set the course for Thalen Phi and turned to Mira. "Tell me," Lyra said, "what are you looking for that is worth all this trouble?" Mira hesitated, then told her everything, about Dalen, the Unity gene, the hidden message, and Krith's betrayal. Lyra listened without interrupting. When she finished, the pilot's eyes were full of respect. "So that is what he was working on," Lyra said softly. "He once told me that peace is not built by treaties but by understanding." "I see now what he meant," Mira nodded. "He wanted to show that we are all connected. That life itself is one great family." Lyra smiled faintly. "A beautiful idea. Dangerous too. Some will never accept it." "I know," Mira said, "but that will not stop me." The journey to Thalen 5 took several days. They passed through empty sectors where few ships traveled. The stars grew fewer and the space around them darkened. Sometimes they saw old wrecks of mining ships drifting slowly in the void. During the trip, Mira studied more of Dalen's data. She managed to decode part of the second fragment's signal. It spoke about a chamber deep under Thalon 5, near the planet's northern pole. The message mentioned a key made from light energy, stored within a crystal device. She remembered the small disk Aaron had given her. Maybe it was part of that key. When they finally arrived, Thalon 5 looked dry and lifeless. The surface was covered in orange dust and long canyons. Faint clouds moved across the sky. Lyra guided the ship down through the thin atmosphere and landed near a set of ruined mining structures. "Here we are," she said. The readings show underground tunnels about 100 meters below. They stepped outside, their boots sinking into the sand. The air was cold and thin. Mira looked around. The planet felt abandoned, but there was a strange beauty in its silence. Lyra activated a scanner and pointed toward a small ridge. "There, a hidden entrance." They moved closer. Beneath the ridge, half buried in sand, was a metal door marked with faded symbols. Mira brushed the dust away and saw Dalen's insignia. Her heart skipped. "This is it." She used the silver disc to unlock the door. The mechanism clicked and the door slid open with a slow creak. Inside was a dark tunnel leading downward. They turned on their lights and began to walk. The walls were lined with old pipes and wires. The air smelled of metal and earth. After a few minutes, they reached a chamber filled with strange machines. At the center stood a glass container glowing faintly blue. Mira approached it carefully. Inside the glass floated a crystal shaped like a teardrop. The light inside it pulsed slowly, almost like a heartbeat. "This must be the fragment," Mira whispered. Lyra nodded. "It looks alive." Mira connected her console to the container. The system recognized her access code and displayed a message. It was another recording from Dalen. "My dear Mira," the voice said. "If you have reached this place, then you have already faced danger. This fragment holds the second part of the Unity gene. When joined with the first, it will reveal a path to the third. Remember, unity is not found through power, but through trust. Choose your allies carefully." The message ended. Mira looked at the crystal. "We have it," she said softly. But before they could leave, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed along the walls. Lyra's eyes widened. Someone triggered a signal. "We are not alone." They ran toward the entrance, the ground shaking under their feet. A shadow appeared at the mouth of the tunnel. It was a large mechanical drone, armed and hovering. Its metallic voice boomed. "Unauthorized access detected. Surrender the artifact." Lyra drew her small energy tool. "Keep behind me." The drone fired a blast of light. Lyra dodged and hit a nearby switch, causing part of the tunnel ceiling to collapse. Dust filled the air. Mira grabbed the crystal and ran. The door at the surface was still open. She and Lyra jumped out just as the tunnel caved in behind them. The explosion threw sand into the air. They hurried back to the ship. Mira held the crystal close to her chest. Lyra activated the engines and the ship lifted off, leaving the collapsing mine far below. Mira and Arun stepped into the silent research base. The air was still and heavy, filled with a faint hum of old machines. Dust floated in the thin light coming from broken panels. The walls were lined with strange pods that once held samples from distant worlds. Everything looked forgotten, yet there was a strange sense of life still inside the place. Mira could feel it. She moved carefully, scanning the control tables. The screens blinked weakly when she touched them, showing fragments of Professor Dalen's old notes. Aaron stayed behind her, watching every move. His calm voice broke the silence. "This place still remembers him," he said. "Dalen built it with great care. It is almost like it wants us to find what he left." Mira nodded. "He wanted peace between species. He said all life is connected no matter where it comes from." Aaron smiled a little, and many feared that idea. They feared losing control. They found a locked chamber at the end of the hall. The door was sealed with a strange pattern of light. Mira studied it. The pattern looked like the same symbols she had seen on the will document. She realized it was another message from Dalen. She placed her hand on the panel and closed her eyes. The lights responded to her touch. A soft voice echoed in the chamber. It was Dalen's voice, recorded long ago. "If you are hearing this, then you are the one I trusted. This project must live beyond me. The truth is hidden not in machines, but in the heart that dares to understand." Mira felt her chest tighten. The door slid open with a slow metallic sound. Inside was a large room filled with glowing tanks and data cores. In the center stood a small device shaped like a crystal. It pulsed with blue light. "This is it," Mira whispered. His final project. Aaron stepped closer. "The universal gene." Mira looked at him in surprise. "You knew about it?" He nodded slowly. "I knew the idea. Dalen told me once, long before his death. He believed that life across galaxies came from one source. He wanted to create a gene that could connect all species through shared understanding. No one believed him. They thought he was trying to make all life the same, but he wanted to make all life united." Mira walked around the crystal, reading the old human and alien symbols carved around it. "This is beautiful. It means connection, not control. But why would anyone want to stop this?" Aaron sighed. "Because unity can break power. Some alien councils wanted humans to stay limited. They did not like that Dalen worked with a human apprentice. They said he was losing focus." As they spoke, a loud sound came from behind them. The heavy doors of the chamber opened again. 3 alien figures entered, their silver armor shining under the blue light. Mira recognized them from the will reading. They were the ones who laughed at her. The leader, a tall being with golden eyes, stepped forward. "So the human found it after all? How fitting. Dalen always had a strange taste for weakness." Mira stood her ground. "You have no right to be here." "This was his life's work," the alien sneered. "His work is dangerous. It would destroy the order of our galaxy. We came to finish what we started." Arun moved between them and Mira. His calm eyes held firm. "You already finished him once. You will not do it again." The alien leader raised his hand and his armor began to glow. But before he could act, Mira activated the crystal device. A soft wave of light filled the chamber. The machines around them came alive, projecting Dalen's last recorded message. The professor's image appeared above the crystal. His voice filled the room with calm strength. "To those who seek control, know this. Life cannot be controlled. It can only be understood. The universal gene is not a weapon. It is a mirror. It shows what we all share, the same spark that started everything." The light from the projection spread across the walls, showing images of human and alien DNA blending together in perfect patterns. The aliens froze, staring at the vision before them. Their faces showed fear and confusion. Mira looked at them. He wanted peace, and now everyone will see what he meant. The leader tried to shut down the system, but Aaron stepped forward, holding a small data chip. "This message is being sent to every council in the galaxy right now. Dalen's truth will not die here." The alien's expression turned dark. "You will regret this." Mira raised her head. "No, you will remember this day as the moment truth won." The chamber shook as the aliens retreated. Aaron quickly turned to Mira. "We need to finish what we started. Once the data reaches the main hub, the entire Galactic Council will know the truth about Dalen's work and about his death." Mira looked at the glowing crystal. "We can protect it." Together they worked through the night. The machines obeyed her commands as if recognizing her as Dalen's successor. She copied the data to several small drives and hid them inside her suit. The holographic system continued to transmit the professor's message. When the first light of dawn reached the base, the signal was complete. Aaron turned to her, his eyes soft. "You have done what no one else could." He would be proud. Mira smiled faintly. "I just followed his heart." Before they could leave, Aaron stopped her. "There is one more truth you must know. I was not only his lawyer. I was his old friend from the first human research team. He asked me to stay close to you. He said one day you would need a guide." Mira looked at him, surprised but grateful. "Then he trusted both of us." They walked outside into the morning light. The old base behind them hummed quietly, like a sleeping giant that had finally spoken its last words. In the distance, they could see the stars fading. A small communication device on Arun's wrist began to glow. A voice came through. It was from the Galactic Council. "Arun Patel, Mira Rao, your transmission has been received. The message of Professor Dalen has been reviewed. A hearing will be held at once. You are both requested to attend." Mira's heart raced. "They are calling us," Arun nodded. "Then it is time for the truth to be spoken before all." They boarded their small ship and left the planet. As they rose above the surface, the sun touched the glass, and for a moment Mira saw her reflection beside the stars. She thought of the professor's words. That understanding, not power, was the path forward. The journey to the council took several days. News had already spread. Across the galaxy, people whispered about the human woman who carried Dalen's final legacy. Some called her brave, others foolish. But everyone waited for what would come next. When their ship arrived at the Galactic Hall, thousands were gathered. Alien species from every corner of the galaxy stood together. The same beings who once mocked humanity now looked with curiosity and unease. Inside the Great Hall, Mira and Aaron stood before the council table. The alien leader who had tried to stop them was there too, his golden eyes cold and full of anger. The head of the council, an ancient being with a calm voice, spoke. "We have received the message of Professor Dalen. His discovery challenges many beliefs. We must hear the witnesses." Aaron stepped forward first. He explained how Dalen had been threatened, how the research had been hidden, and how Mira uncovered it through his will. He showed the data files and recordings that proved everything. The hall remained silent as every being listened. Then Mira spoke. Her voice was clear and steady. He believed all life shares the same beginning. He wanted to bring peace through understanding. "I only did what he asked me to do." The council watched her carefully. Then the head of the council spoke again. "Your words are true. The data confirms his theory. The conspirators who hid his work will face judgment." The alien leader who mocked her tried to protest, but guards surrounded him. For the first time, Mira saw fear in his proud eyes. The council turned to Mira and Arun. "You have restored balance and truth. Humanity has shown great courage and wisdom. From this day you will be honored as the keepers of Dalen's legacy." Applause filled the hall. Mira looked at Aaron, who smiled quietly. The message of Dalen had reached every corner of the galaxy. As they left the hall, Mira looked up at the shining stars beyond the dome. She felt the weight of what had happened. Dalen's dream was alive. The laughter that once mocked her had turned into respect. Humanity had once again proven its worth, not through power or weapons, but through understanding and hope. The Galactic Council Hall shone like crystal in the morning light of Nova Prime. Species from hundreds of worlds filled the seats, their eyes fixed on the front where Mira and Aaron had taken their place. The air was tense but full of anticipation. Whispers moved like wind across the grand hall. The same aliens who had mocked Mira during the will reading now watched in silence. Their expressions were a mix of disbelief, curiosity, and fear. Mira stood tall, her dark hair tied neatly, her hands folded calmly in front of her. Aaron was beside her, his eyes steady and supportive. The crystal device containing Dalen's research sat on the table before them, glowing faintly, as if aware of the importance of this moment. The head of the council, an ancient being with translucent skin that shimmered in the light, raised a hand for silence. "We have reviewed the transmissions from Professor Dalen's final work. The message is clear, and it challenges old beliefs. Before the council passes judgment, the one who discovered the truth will speak." All eyes turned to Mira. She felt the weight of the hall pressing on her, but she remembered the professor's words. Understanding, not power. She inhaled deeply and began. "Members of the Galactic Council, respected scholars and leaders of all species," she said clearly. "Professor Dalen believed that all life across the stars shares a single origin. He discovered what he called the unity gene. It is not a weapon and it is not a tool of control. It is proof that all intelligent life is connected." She paused, letting her words sink in. Many species shifted uneasily in their seats. Mira continued, her voice steady, her eyes sweeping across the hall. "This gene is a symbol of understanding. It shows that no matter our appearance, abilities, or worlds, we share a spark that binds us together. Professor Dalen entrusted me with this work because he believed humans, through our creativity and compassion, could protect it. Today I present to you the evidence of his discovery, and I ask the Council to honor his vision of unity and peace." The crystal device glowed brighter. Holographic images filled the hall, showing strands of DNA from humans, aliens, and other species intertwining in perfect harmony. A faint pulse of light moved through the projections, illustrating the unity gene's effect. The crowd gasped. Many leaned forward to see better. One of the aliens who had laughed at her during the will reading, the proud Dr. Krith, stood stiffly. His golden eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. The weight of truth pressed upon him. Aaron stepped forward and activated another console. The files Dalen had left were displayed on a massive screen above the council. Charts, holograms, and recordings filled the space. Every proof, every calculation, and every experiment was visible. The work was undeniable. "The professor's findings are real," Aaron said. "They cannot be dismissed. And the one who brought this truth forward is human." Mira felt a small surge of pride, but she kept her focus. She turned back to the council. "This is not just science," she said. "It is a message for the future. It shows us that we must respect each other, that we can cooperate, and that differences are meant to be understood, not feared. Those who have mocked humanity in the past may now see that we are capable of wisdom, courage, and leadership." The council remained silent for a moment. The images of interwoven DNA strands pulsed gently in the hall. Slowly, a member of the council, a tall alien with deep violet skin, spoke. "This is remarkable," she said. "If true, it proves what we long suspected but never dared to accept. Humans may hold a unique role in the galaxy. They are not just a young species learning from others. They can guide, inspire, and protect knowledge." A ripple of murmurs passed through the hall. Other species began nodding. Mira noticed that even Krith looked shaken. His pride and arrogance had no place in the face of undeniable truth. Another council member, a small amphibious creature with bright green scales, leaned forward. "The implications are enormous. If the Unity gene can be studied and understood safely, it could bring cooperation among our worlds in ways we have never imagined." Mira nodded. Professor Dalen wanted this knowledge shared for the benefit of all, not for one species to dominate another. His dream was a galaxy united through understanding, not conflict. The head of the council spoke again. "The evidence is complete. The universal gene is real, and the one who revealed it has proven extraordinary courage and insight. We hereby recognize Mira Rao as the official keeper of Dalen's legacy. She shall protect and share his work responsibly with all who seek peace." A quiet cheer rose from the audience. Humans in attendance stood proudly. Other species clapped in respect. Some who had mocked her now looked ashamed, realizing how wrong they had been. Dr. Krith tried to speak, but the head of the council raised a hand. "Your objections are noted, but your attempts to suppress knowledge were misguided. The evidence is now clear, and any further interference will be seen as a violation of intergalactic law." Krith bowed stiffly. Mira's eyes met his for a moment. She did not feel anger. She felt calm. He had underestimated humanity, just as many had before. Now he could see the truth, and the lesson was already taught. Aaron placed a hand on Mira's shoulder. "You have done more than Dalen asked," he said softly. "You have shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of." Mira smiled faintly. "He trusted me, and I trusted him. That is all." The hall emptied slowly, but the message remained. Across the galaxy, the transmissions from the council spread to every system. Ships carried the holographic data. Scholars studied the records, and news networks broadcasted the story. Humanity's name was now spoken with respect, and many species began rethinking their assumptions about humans. Back at the council hall, Mira and Arun walked outside onto a terrace overlooking the city of Nova Prime. The towers shone under the light of two suns. Ships moved gracefully in the sky. Mira felt a sense of peace she had never known before. "Do you think the galaxy will change now?" she asked Aaron. He smiled. "It already has. People have seen that courage and wisdom are not limited to one species. The rest will follow, slowly, but it will happen." Mira looked up at the stars. "I never thought I would be part of something this big. I only wanted to honor Professor Dalen. And you have," Aaron said, "more than anyone could have imagined." Mira carried the crystal device carefully. It was more than a piece of technology. It was a symbol of trust, of hope, of unity. She placed it in a secure lab she had prepared for Dalen's research. It would be studied, shared, and protected. Humanity, for the first time in the Galactic Alliance, was seen not as a young species learning, but as a key part of the galaxy's future. Weeks passed. Mira oversaw the distribution of Dalen's research. Scholars from different worlds came to learn. Aliens who once doubted humans now sought her advice. The galaxy began to see the value of cooperation over competition, understanding over fear. One morning, Mira stood by a window of her lab. Ships passed silently, carrying scientists and knowledge to distant worlds. Aaron joined her quietly. "You have done it," he said softly. "I have done what we were meant to do," Mira replied. "Dalen's dream is alive. The laughter from before does not matter anymore. The truth has been seen, and it cannot be taken away." Aaron nodded. "And humanity has shown its best side: courage, compassion, and intelligence. You have reminded everyone why we should never be underestimated." Mira looked out at the horizon. The stars stretched infinitely, but now they felt familiar, welcoming. She felt the weight of responsibility. but also a quiet joy. She knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through power or fear, but through understanding and hope. A small comm device beeped. Mira checked it. A message from Lyra appeared. The first group of scholars is ready to study the Unity gene. They are coming from multiple worlds. You will be amazed, Mira smiled. Then we begin. She turned to Aaron. Are you ready? He nodded. Always. Together they stepped into the lab, the glow of the crystal device lighting their path. The room was filled with machines, data cores, and records from centuries of work. Mira knew that what they had started would last far beyond their time. Outside, the galaxy continued its silent rotation, but now, a new chapter had begun. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were not outsiders. They were protectors, leaders, and guardians of a truth that could unite every species. And Mira, once laughed at and doubted, walked forward with quiet confidence. She carried the legacy of Professor Dalen and the hope of the galaxy itself. The stars shone brightly above, and for the first time, the universe seemed full of promise, understanding, and peace. Humanity had earned its place, and the galaxy would never forget it.